Everyone. We are United Black Voters, an organization started that focuses on leveraging the power of the Black vote to aid in pushing our people and communities ahead. This organization was started by myself, Leon Mallett, and my two brothers here with me today, Mr. Ivory Hodges and Mr. Matt Clayton. Gentlemen, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell the people a little bit about your backgrounds?
I guess I can go. My name is Matt Clayton, from Detroit, Michigan, graduate of the University of Michigan. Also went to Wayne State for grad school. I currently work in nonprofit leadership in Detroit. Been doing that for over 10 years, more so like workforce development, workforce training, as well as college access, those type of things, employability skills. And, like I said, I'm really into, training and just really helping our people, skill up, get the skills they need and compete.
Mr.
Hey
Hodges?
everybody, I'm Ivory, and I am a resident of Detroit as well, born and raised in the city of Detroit, the east side to be particular. And I am a financial coach as well. So that's what I do for my day job. I'm a financial coach, and I help people level up on their finances, get out of debt, improve their credit, and start building wealth so they can have a life that they deserve. Also, I went to University of Michigan as well, University of Michigan graduate, and also have all the certifications and all that stuff. So if you ever want to check that out, go to my LinkedIn page. But in terms of what I do here with United Black Voters, I'm just a contributor. I'm here to contribute to help solve some of the problems that we have, and I'm just passionate about that. And I'm glad to be on this platform to be able to do that.
Okay. Now, as I stated, my name is Leon Mallett, born and raised in Seattle, Washington, but currently residing in the state of Michigan, 20 out of the last 21 years. I'm a dual major from Northwood University in Michigan with a bachelor's degree in banking and finance and business management. I currently operate in the real estate arena, where I started my career in 2013 doing mortgages and have evolved to my current status as a title agent, investor, and realtor. Now, the purpose of us starting this organization is to put together what is known as the Black Agenda 2028, or what you can see on my hat, BA 28. This is an agenda of issues that affect the Black communities and us as Black Americans in the United States, which we will take to local and federal politicians in order to have them audition for our votes in future elections in particular. Now, our vote is powerful, and most of us have seen basically in recent elections, we are the deciding factor. We are currently working with many Black communities and leaders across the country to establish this agenda, and we'd like to hear everyone's voice and concerns, including yours. Now, gentlemen, can you let the people know why this agenda is important to you specifically?
Well, I'll go first.
Mhm.
When you talk about the Black agenda, I've heard it my whole life, and you guys tell me how you feel about it, but I heard it
Mhm.
my whole entire life. People saying that, oh, what's the Black agenda? What's the Black agenda? Or asking politicians, what's the agenda for us? And to me, something as always that just always bothered me because I'm like, why don't we just create our own agenda? Why don't we just come together? We're smart, we're capable, we know what we need. Who knows us better than we know ourselves? No other politician, no other community knows us better than we know ourselves. So why don't we just come together and build an agenda for ourselves? Because I don't know about you guys. I'm tired of just voting just to vote, and I know a lot of times we have been told since we've been little kids that how important voting is and how important elections are. And I believe those things to be true. I just think it's time for us to get something in return for our vote. So I believe in negotiating from a position of strength and also from a position of leverage and power. And I think if we collectively came together, I think that's something that will really put us in a position where we can be able to do that.
I think for me, I think what's really important and why this message is so important is you start to see a sense of awareness in the community that probably didn't exist to this level just a few years back. And with that, people are asking questions that they didn't ask before, right? Hey, what do I get for this vote? What should I expect? How do I play politics? And this message is so important because when people are asking these type of questions, you also get two major things that are very dangerous. You get a lot of grifters, you get a lot of misinformation. So for me, one of the goals is just to give people the proper information, break down what's happening, and then also say, hey, this is what's happening. This is how it impacts your community. So my number one goal I would like to see is get through the BS, get past the grifters, get past the misinformation, and really see what policies are being laid out and how to actually enforce those policies and get politicians to, give you the resources that's necessary for not just for you, but your family and your community to grow.
Absolutely. Well, for me, it's the fact that I know the power of our vote. We control more than we actually know. And once we as a people realize that, we can leverage that power to help address issues in our community, many of which have been around since the day our ancestors were brought over here on boats. And the Black Agenda 2028 will help in aiding to right the many wrongs that have been done to us and that have had a negative effect on us that we're even feeling up until this current day. So, for me, it's just making sure that we realize and understand the power that we have and leveraging that to help us get to where we should be in the realm as far as the totem pole of this country. Now, what do you guys personally feel are the three biggest issues that need to be addressed in the Black community, according to you?
You want to take
You
that,
want to take
Matt?
Yeah, I
Oh,
can.
I
I
can
can
go.
go. Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead, Ivory. Go ahead.
Well, good question, Leon. This is a hot take. So I'm going to say, and this is in no order, no particular order, but I think one of the things that we could do, since I'm a financial coach, so I always look at things from the eyes and lens of finance and economic development. So I would think the first thing we could do, and what's really important, is economic empowerment and wealth building. Those are just things that we absolutely need, especially in a country like this. It's a capitalist society. We definitely need to have first understand how our economics work. We have $1.4 trillion spending power as Black people. And that's just something that we don't really understand how valuable our dollars are. And most of our dollars are leaving the community. They're not reinvesting back into the community. So that's one thing, economic empowerment. The second part is wealth building. Now, the good thing is these things are already happening. I see it on social media. I hear it in my family, in my community. I hear it in conversations where people are already talking about these things. They just don't know how to do it. So we need to learn the game of economic empowerment, cooperative economics, and wealth building. So that's one. Two, I would say, is mental health, especially in this country. I hear it all the time. People, you guys heard this too. You go to Thanksgiving or you hang around a bunch of Black people. Most of the time, some of those conversations are leaning towards what's happening to them, whether that's at work or in their church, their community, their neighborhood. It's like, oh, could you believe such and such did this, and my boss did this, and this person said that to me, and it really weighs down on us negatively, emotionally and psychologically. So I think that, and also with all the trauma that we've been through as a people, I think mental health is probably up there. It's up there. And the third one I would say is political accountability. We really, really, really need to be able to hold politicians accountable. Don't just come into our community begging for our votes, asking, they flood your mailbox with all those things. And you guys got that too. I know I got a
Yeah,
stack of them.
yeah,
I still kept it. I got a
yeah,
stack of
4 to
stuff
5 pieces
from
every day.
yeah, yeah,
politicians
yeah.
asking for our vote. So that lets me know, okay, our votes are important because they spending billions and billions
Billions.
of money to
Yeah,
get our
yeah, yeah.
votes. So I'm like, yo, and I wrap this up by saying this. So again, the political power that we have, we need to be able to exercise that and have a sustained accountability way to hold politicians accountable. So those would be my three.
Yeah, I would say my first would definitely be the economic piece that you talked about, Ivory. I mean, that's extremely important. It covers all facets. It covers entrepreneurship opportunities, business opportunities, even wage increases. Certain sectors need wage
Mm-hmm.
increases. I haven't had it in a long time. So that's extremely important. I think the other two things that come to my mind, since economics is number one, number two, I think education. I think people don't realize how important early education is. I mean, I have a 6-month-old at home, a 12-year-old. That educational piece is extremely important. I mean, that's how you kind of get the basics of science, basics of engineering, those type of things. In math, basics of math. I think people overlook that a lot, but that's extremely important. I see it in some of the programs that we have, and or the lack thereof sometimes. Third to me would actually be a high level training. So I know obviously, you have workforce training, But what I mean by like high level training is highly specialized skills. I always felt that if you had a good foundation from an education standpoint as a young person, and you have high level skill sets that you acquire through training or things like that. Once you combine those things, you can go into business for yourself, or you can go to the market and say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna go to whoever's willing to pay me the most. So I think those are the big three for me.
Okay. I knew there was a reason why I like you brothers, because two out of my three are falling in line
Yeah.
with kind of what you guys just said. Number one for me is education. We have schools with outdated books, teachers with no resources to effectively do their job. And just an overall lack of resources for us to properly develop our youth. For those that know me, working with youth is something that's very dear to my heart, and that I've integrated into my professional life going back to 2018 with the internship program that I started with the Job Corps campus out in Flint.
Mm.
And, as Whitney Houston said, I believe the children are the future, teach them well and let them lead the way. And, ultimately, that's why education is number one for me. Now, the other two, I guess you could say, are, flexible as far as their position. But second is healthcare. We as Black folks, we are genetically exposed to things like diabetes, high blood pressure, and some other things. And a good portion of that has to do with our diets. But with that being said, health education and preventative services is something that we rarely have access to. And when I say preventative services, that includes the resources, income, and or ability to buy foods, that may be more healthy for our people to be able to consume, to where we may have to go to, foods that may not be as healthy because of our economic situation as far as what we can actually afford. And the third one for me is our entry into small business. With a lot of barriers that have been put in place, one of the biggest reasons we are behind in terms of cultural wealth, which Ivy had to discuss, is because the government hasn't always given us access to the same resources that they have other communities. Shouts out to the USDA, who is now encouraging urban farming and pushing Black farmer development. But they literally came out and admitted that they ignored and gave unfair treatment to Black farmers for decades. And they are trying to right their wrong, so I give them credit in doing so. And I'm just ultimately hoping that other government entities will eventually follow lead and do the same as the USDA. Now, as far as this whole setup with the Black Agenda 2028 and what we're trying to get accomplished, can you guys explain our setup as to how we will get this goal accomplished?
Yeah, so the first step is to have a conversation, to gather data, information, to figure out what us as a group of people, Black people, who are interested in moving and progressing the community forward, because I know that all Black people aren't the same. And I understand that some of this is probably not even on their radar, and that's fine. But those of you who are open, who want to progress the community, and I see you, I see a lot of people, whether it's clients, whether it's people that I see in the streets, just in day-to-day conversation, they want to move the community forward. I don't hear people saying, I don't want to move the community forward. So if you're a person that's like, hey, I want to move the community forward, we're interested in hearing what you have to say. So the first thing is a survey, having a document where we can just ask the question, like, hey, what is it that you need? What is it that you are looking forward to? What's some of your issues, the top issues that face you? So the first thing is just collect data. Secondly, is to have a conversation amongst each other about the data. Because when you look at data, you look at statistics and facts and all those things, what you find is you find some silver linings and you also find some commonalities. And we're all more common than what we like to think. I know everybody think they're just this individual out here expressing their own individual needs, but we're actually have a lot more in common. And we're going to see some commonalities in terms of the issues, what people are looking forward to. So I think that that's the second part of just having a conversation about the survey and the data and the stuff that we do collect and just talk it out. Let's hash it out. Let's pull up the conversations, talk about it. And also let's develop a clear, cohesive agenda, like maybe 2 or 3 points where we can say, after we take all this, these are the 2 or 3 things that we really want to get pushed past. So I just think that's super important. And that's something that we need to do because I don't want to wait for a politician or someone else to tell us what they have planned for us. We should be the ones driving that and dictating that and telling them this is our plan. Go get it done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I can agree. I agree with that, Ivory. I think for me, I think when I think about how we would accomplish this, I think one is having honest conversations. And obviously, what is the community saying that they want? Even if it's not something that people agree with, this is what people are saying that they want, and being honest about that. And I think with that honesty, also being honest about this is what's happening in politics. So we're not really choosing a side. Like, obviously, we might vote a certain kind of way, but we may feel like, hey, I voted this way because the policies in this way, I think benefit my family a little bit better, benefit me a little bit better. So having those honest conversations, I think is extremely important. I think another thing that I think we're going to do is get throughout all the BS. So obviously, we want to be a place that you say, hey, I saw all this stuff on the news. How does this impact me? And come to a place where you can come, you can get that messaging. And I think the third thing that I would bring up with how we will accomplish that is just being really, really just straightforward. I think a lot of times, I think in this space, and people talk about politics, and I think this is something that I think about. You get a lot of grifters, a lot of people who troll the process, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously, anytime you're trying to do any kind of work like this, you get trolled. But if you want to troll us, F around and find out. Because at the same time, we've been through the riot, we've been through a lot of these experiences. We're not just talking to some people sitting on a high horse who've been in politics, live in DC. We're from Detroit. A lot of us still live in the Metro Detroit area. We still deal with the real life circumstances. We deal with death of family members, death of relatives, mental health, all the things that have impacted you. We've been through it as well too. So we're not fake, phony frauds. We're honest, we're upfront. Like Ivory said, you can look us up on LinkedIn. You can see my credentials. Some of the people that may be trolling us, look up their credentials. They may be absent, they may be missing, they may not even be there. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
want to add something on that real quick. 100%, 100%. We have to be able to get past the pettiness of politics because that's the whole game is to, on one end, gaslight you on the other end, and on the other end, do deals, backdoor deals. And that's something we want to avoid. Obviously, we want people to be educated and informed, but we actually want to mobilize and organize our people to be informed on the policies. To Matt's point, is the policies. This is not a popularity contest. And the last thing I will say on that is that I had a client real quick, and I'll tell a quick story real quick. I had a client the other day, and the client, had really, really good credit, and she had one late payment. She had one late payment on her, I think it was her credit card. She had like one late payment. And she had this long history of on-time payments. She never missed a payment. And she had one missed payment, and then she was complaining to me, and she was just telling me, like, well, I deserve to, have a courtesy removal of this late payment. And I was just telling her, like, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. And she was just like, oh, I never thought about that. I was like, let's give them a call and let's negotiate. So we do that, just a 2-minute conversation, got that whole thing removed off her credit report, and her score went back up. So what's the point I'm trying to make is that we deserve the most. We deserve a lot. Our people have been through so much stuff. We've been through slavery. We've been through Jim Crow, segregation, mass incarceration, all types of stuff we've been through. And we deserve a lot for our votes. But we only get what we negotiate. And that's why we're going to the negotiation table and with our collective power.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, you gentlemen pretty much broke it down as far as how we're going to get this goal accomplished. The most important factor of that is participation. We need to hear back from you what's important to you so we can get this established. That's the most critical factor in getting this goal accomplished is finding out what, as you a member of the Black community, is important to you, because ultimately that's what we're going to take to these politicians and try to fight on your behalf for. And kind of going back to something that Matt said, where, we're from Metro Detroit and going through this, true. But no matter where you are, your skin color is going to be your skin color. Whether you're in
Yeah.
Metro Detroit, whether you're in Atlanta, Georgia, whether you're in Seattle, Washington, whether you're in Compton, California, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, anywhere else, we still face the same situations no matter where we at. And it's very important that we unite and get our voices out, wherever we're at in this country, because again, at the end of the day, the systematic approach that this country has taken to our people affects us no matter where we're at. And ultimately, that's what we need to make sure that we keep a keen eye on and focus on to make sure that we push this movement forward. And we only get that by having you guys involved with it, no matter where you are in this country. So we like to just thank you guys for taking the time out to watch our videos. Please make sure that you like, follow, share, and subscribe to all of our social media platforms to get real-time updates on our progression as we build towards the midterms and the 2028 presidential election. To take part in the survey, log on to www.blackagenda2028.com and complete the quick 2-minute survey and voice what matters most to you ultimately. Again, that's www.blackagenda2028.com. You will be automatically entered in a giveaway for a new iPhone 17 just for stating what is most important to you as a Black American. The time for change is now. We need all of us united to assure that this change happens. We appreciate you guys taking the time out to be with us today. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. We are BA28, and we are out.
Hey, real quick, I just want to say something real quick to piggyback what you said, 30 seconds here. When you take the survey, share the survey, share it with your family, your friends, your coworkers, people that you go to church with. Share it with a Black person, ideally a Black person, because this is for Black people by Black people. So share the survey and let's let this thing go around, because once we start getting momentum on this and start building momentum on this, then we're going to have something cooking here. Now we're cooking with gasoline. And once we start getting to that point, then we can no longer be ignored. They can't ignore what we're doing, what we're saying. So take the survey, share the survey, and participate, because that's all we're asking for is participation. No one can afford to be a sideliner in this type of environment we're living in. You have to pick a side. You have to pick a tribe to join. And what we're saying is join our tribe, take the survey, share the survey, and participate in this game, because we unfortunately playing the Hunger Games right now or the Squid Games. And you got to be able to be a participant in your own rescue.
100%.
Take care, everybody.
Peace.
Guys, have a good day.